our championship, just defend. But we felt we really wanted to move up in class and then be able to compete at an even higher level.
And that's it for another edition of Where Are They Now? Until next week, same time, same place.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Thanks for joining us for CVM News at Noon. It's Thursday, June 18, 2026. I'm Akeem Arret. Up first this afternoon, Opposition Leader Mark Golding is demanding the immediate removal of Dr. Andrew Wheatley from the Cabinet following the tabling of the Integrity Commission investigation report that recommends criminal charges against the minister. The report tabled on Wednesday found that Dr. Wheatley had some $164 million in unexplained assets between 2013 and 2022. According to the report, the Director of Corruption Prosecution determined that Dr. Wheatley should face 4 charges, including illicit enrichment, knowingly making false statements in statutory declarations, and failing to provide information to the Integrity Commission. The PNP president is questioning why Dr. Wheatley was reappointed to cabinet after the 2025 general election, despite what he described as, quote, clear warning signs, and called the decision a grave misjudgment. The party is hosting a press conference on the matter, which is currently underway at the office of the Leader of the Opposition, and we'll have the latest coming out of that briefing later on in CVM News at 7. Political analyst Jermaine Barrett says Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness should consider asking Cabinet Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley to step aside following the latest findings by the Integrity Commission. Barrett argues that with the Commission recommending prosecution, the minister's focus would likely be on clearing his name rather than carrying out his government responsibilities.
The fact that the IC has recommended that prosecution be made of the minister, means that the minister will now be detained in clearing his name, and that is an arduous process. He holds a portfolio that is an important one. He can ill afford to be detained on such matters at this time. So I think the Prime Minister ought to ask him to step aside, possibly combine that ministry add that ministry to another portfolio.
Jamaicans for Justice is calling for greater transparency and human rights safeguards as the government negotiates an agreement with the United States to temporarily receive non-Jamaican deportees. Executive Director Michael Jackson says the arrangement could raise serious questions about Jamaica's obligations under international refugee law and the treatment of persons who may face persecution in their home countries.
If it is that persons are facing real persecution, then the obligation that the United States have is not to return them to a country where they face real persecution risk. So if it is that the United States is bypassing, circumventing international law and its own domestic law by entering into these agreements, the question for people and the Jamaican citizenry: is Jamaica complicit in this flagrant human rights violation?
To other news now, 3 men are dead following a horrific 3-vehicle crash along the Brackrow Main Road in Trelawny on Wednesday night. The crash, which occurred at about 9 p.m., involved a white Toyota Hiace, a Toyota Voxy, and a black Toyota Fielder. Preliminary investigations from the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB, suggest that improper overtaking, loss of control, and excessive speed without due regard for road conditions may have contributed to the collision. The deceased are two male drivers aged 29 and 22, along with a male passenger. Their identity is yet to be confirmed. As police investigations into the circumstances surrounding the fatal crash are continuing, Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucian Jones, is renewing his call for the demerit point system.
All of this carnage pushing up the number of deaths for the month of June to 23, and the total number for the year to 134. Among the causes listed were speeding, improper overtaking, error of judgment, and distracted driving. Speaking to a seasoned journalist last night, Ben Brody, he recommended that we start early at the basic school level to teach children the basics about using the roads carefully, and then reap the rewards of safety on our roads for the next generation. But for now, to counter the persistent carelessness on our roads, which cause deaths and injuries to be constantly in the news, the most efficient lever we can pull is to use the demerit point system to remove temporarily persistently errant drivers from driving on the road by suspending their license.
The Area 3 Police Division is stepping up its fight against crime with the launch of a new initiative aimed at restoring safety and order across Clarendon, Manchester and St. Elizabeth. Head of Area 3 Police, Assistant Commissioner of Police Christopher Phillips, says Operation Reset will target some of the region's most pressing criminal activities. Natasha Williams tells us more.
The Area 3 Police Division has launched a new crime-fighting initiative dubbed Operation Reset, aimed at reducing criminal activities across Clarendon, Manchester and St. Elizabeth. The initiative was unveiled during the Mandeville Police Civic Committee's annual general meeting and Top Cop Awards. Head of Area 3 Police, ACP Christopher Phillips, said the operation will focus on addressing key issues affecting communities throughout the division.
We are going to be launching Operations Reset across Area 3, and it intends to be one that takes a total zero tolerance posture. We will regain firm control of our policing areas. We will push back against criminality and stand firm against disputes that threaten lives and livelihood.
While noting some positive developments, ACP Phillips acknowledged that serious crimes remain a concern. He revealed that both murders and shootings have increased when compared to the corresponding period last year.
Notwithstanding that, there are areas of concern that we must pay attention to. Violent crime up. Murder increased 55% from 34 to 52 cases, and shooting 15% from 34 to 39 cases. Gun violence drive, murder and shooting together account for 23 additional cases year on year.
He also notes that scammers continue to adapt their operations and says targeted operations will be deployed to disrupt criminal networks operating within the division.
Follow through and holding criminals accountable. I've been studying Area 3 for 6 months now, and I think I have a fairly good understanding of where we need to go. And those scammers who migrate from some other places because it was too uncomfortable for them to stay, I want Manchester citizens to join me and tell them that Manchester is going to get uncomfortable. St. Elizabeth is going to get uncomfortable for these players. Clarendon is going to get uncomfortable because we are going to focus on efforts around them.
Natasha Williams, CVM News.
The People's National Party's Culture and Heritage Commission is urging the government to formally designate June 16 as a National Day of Recognition for Leonard Percival Howell, widely regarded as the founder of the Rastafarian movement. The call comes as Jamaica marks the 128th anniversary of Howell's birth. The Commission argues that Howell's contribution to Jamaica's cultural, spiritual and political development warrants official recognition, citing his role in advancing Pan-African consciousness and inspiring a movement that has gained global influence. The Commission is emphasizing that the proposed observance would not be a public holiday, but rather an opportunity to preserve Howell's legacy and educate future generations about his contributions to the nation's history. And with that, we take a break here inside CVM News at Noon. Please stay with us.
Every day starts with care. Care that's always close. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is where you go for everything you need. From your morning routine to life's biggest moments, Supermed Family of Pharmacies is always by your side. Whether it's prescriptions or household essentials, trust the care that's close to home. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
It's a golden jubilee. Celebrating 50. From foundation to rooftop high. 50 years as the cornerstone of the nation. Brick by brick, side by side. We've been building dreams all across Jamaica. We're building communities. We're housing generations with trust and care. We light the way with LHD. Home starts here, building communities. We're housing generations with heart and hope. We lead the way with LHD. The key to your home. The key to your home. The key to your home.
Thanks for staying with us, and we welcome you back with news overseas. Ukraine has launched one of its largest drone offensives on Russia, with Moscow's mayor reporting that more than 200 attack drones have been intercepted over the capital alone. Al Jazeera has the details.
It is one of the largest Ukrainian drone attacks on Russia's capital yet. Drones targeting the city have been shot down, but several have made it through. Moscow's largest oil refinery in the Kapotnya district appeared to take several hits. An explosion at one of the silos sent its lid flying into the air. Residential buildings have been hit too. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has praised his military, calling the strikes a just response to Russian attacks. The attacks come as President Vladimir Putin begins a 3-day Russia-ASEAN summit in the southwestern city of Kazan. With the battlefield in Ukraine largely frozen, both sides have been trading strikes, hoping to ramp up pressure for any potential peace talks. And on Wednesday, G7 leaders meeting in France pledged continued support for Ukraine and pressure on Russia.
More reactions this afternoon to the scathing Integrity Commission report tabled in Parliament on Wednesday, along with its attendant indicative ruling in which the Director of Corruption Prosecution ruled that Government Minister and Jamaica Labour Party Member of Parliament Dr. Andrew Wheatley be charged with illicit enrichment. To add his voice to the conversation, we are now joined by Principal Director of the National Integrity Action, Dr. Gavin Myers. Welcome, Dr. Myers.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks for asking. First of all, your initial reaction to the report.
I think the report is detailed. I think the report sets out in a clear way how breaches are happening, but also it's a clear point of why we need an integrity commission and how it is that we can speak to building integrity as an whole institution, because Jamaica requires an institution that support our government sector, all persons, in ensuring that there's probity and that there's accountability in government offices. We have to know that there's someone who is watching to ensure that if there's any potential weakness in the system, that is nipped in the bud. So this is a very clear part of that system.
The opposition, though, is calling for Dr. Wheatley to be removed from cabinet. Do you think that's necessary?
You know, we have, and this is good, we have a good history across government, across different parties, of different people moving or being removed. And let's start way back. This is way before. You remember Carl Blythe in 2002, Errol Ennis in 2001, Horace Clark 1991 was removed, Colin Campbell in 2006, and it would go further in 2018. The same Minister Wheatley was removed again from the cabinet because of cause around corruption. And we remember Minister Reid has been removed. We remember, I know there's someone I am missing, Minister Reid, Minister Montague was also removed. So we have seen it over time when there's things like this being called, that people have been moved. So this should be no different. And even more, Prime Minister Holness himself has said that when he sees evidence, he will act. I'm very certain that this is evidence that has been provided, and he will act in so doing.
But Dr. Myers, Dr. Wheatley released a statement Wednesday rejecting the reports, saying it's false and misleading. He sought to explain a number of the issues raised in the report, from the 164 million to the 6 apartment units he received as gifts. After seeing his statement yourself, is there any plausibility to his explanation, or did it all just sound like smoke and mirrors?
So I'm not a lawyer, but I know there is something around what type of gifts you can receive in the law. I'm very certain that even if you got a gift, there's a certain way you should report it. Minister Wheatley has not reported it in the correct way. Minister Wheatley is also off on the reservation in that case. I also know that Minister Wheatley was a councillor, he was deputy mayor, he was member of parliament, and he was a minister. So Minister Wheatley cannot use mistake or whatever it is to speak to his omission. This is something that, without any other evidence, is deliberate. And he knows what happens and he knows what should be done. So even more, what we're saying is that he breached, even if he had a very innocuous reason for not declaring it, he breached. And he needs to understand that as a minister, people are expecting him to be above reproach in such a way, because we would not like for us or anyone to accuse him outside of taking something or of being corrupt. So he should have, from start, know that this is what is being done, and he would have taken the steps all throughout.
And as government minister, this isn't the first time Dr. Wheatley's conduct in public office is being called into question. He was stripped of his energy portfolio in 2018 following allegations of corruption and mismanagement at the state-owned oil refinery Petrodram. Do you think it was a misjudgment on the part of the Prime Minister to reappoint Dr. Wheatley to cabinet?
The Prime Minister, in his own judgment and acting without anybody else, has the right to appoint anybody he feels like to the cabinet. He has that right. The Prime Minister, however, should know that when he does it with the same level of scrutiny that everyone else will have. But even more, the Prime Minister understands that when he does it, and I'm very certain that he will act because he knows that his political capital and the political capital of his government rests upon how he acts when there is instances or when there's evidence or when there's allegations, concrete allegations of corruption or misappropriation. And it's important that the Prime Minister acts in such a way, because it's not just a party situation, it's not just a constituted situation, it is that we're expecting that Jamaica as a whole wants people who are of the highest scrutiny, who are of the highest integrity in every office, especially one as minister, especially a part of the cabinet. We don't want state capture. We don't want any form of any idea that our resources or someone is on the take anywhere. And I'm not trying to allege that. I'm just saying that the reports are that, and we want to ensure that this does not happen in any way.
And we've also seen allegations of this nature before involving government officials. But there's a perception that these cases rarely lead to consequences. Do you think this points to some sort of gap in Jamaica's accountability mechanisms?
So I'll make two comments on that. The first one is maybe easiest. We have a high caseload. There's one case slowly going through, and I use slowly, going through the courts now, where the defense attorneys in their own right have been appealing to everywhere to slow down the process. The other one that we had some years ago, if we recall, the Current Spencer case, took so long to go through the case. We recall Joseph Hibbert, who by the time he reached there, he died. So it is a situation that people feel like things not happen, but in other cases, things move fast. So people are watching and people wonder what going on. Because really and truly, we want things to get done. If I could just squeeze in one point though, I am a Jamaican and I'm from very humble beginnings and humble means. I would not want Minister Wheatley to use the fact that he's from humble beginnings to make this out to be a witch hunt against him or something that he is being singled out because he's from humble beginnings. I want Minister Wheatley to accept that he is being singled out because he's a minister and there are rules around how he is to act, how he is to report on things, and that is the critical point. I don't want Minister Wheatley to respectfully say that I am from humble beginnings and that's why people are checking out for me. No, it's because there was a breach and he has to own that.
Along with all of that, Dr. Myers, how would you advise him to move forward from this? If you were in his shoes, what would be your next move?
I honestly have no advice in terms of that, because the reality of it is this. If you're standing up in public office, you should stand up with integrity. If you're standing up in public office, you should understand that your entire resources and what is there is going to be asked. People want to know how it is that you got your wealth and how is it that you're using the public office. So you as a person need to know that this is where you are. Where your people are looking up to you and people are expecting you to do the right thing, people are expecting you to be true, and people are expecting you to do every good thing, even when no one is looking. And in this case, we know that the systems are looking and are expecting you to do the right thing.
All right. Thank you so much. That was